Alright, y'all. It's trapping season right now. I haven't really started much yet, but can't hardly pass up a good roadkill that's actually in pretty good shape, especially one like this. Found a bobcat on our way home from work. Well, we saw it on our way out to work, so I stopped and picked it up on our way in. So I don't have enough video room left to show you all the entire skinning process, but I'm going to give you all a quick demo. But here's the cat. Good size Tom, but I gotta kind of hurry up and get him skinned out so his hide don't get bad. So I'll show you all a little bit of what I'm going to be doing, and then I'll show you the finished product. What I'm going to do, I'll cut right in here all the way around. He'll stay up. I'll make a slit right into here, go around, split up his tail, do the same thing on this side, just meet them up. Now I'm not going to split them down the middle because most of the time when you're at a fur auction they don't want that. So I'm going to pull them over like a sock. When I get down here to the quail catchers, I'll cut them off right around the pads. Real pretty retractable claws there. And things I won't want to be on the business end of that. Cut it off there, pull the arms through. I don't want to make any unnecessary cuts anywhere in this hide. Now I'll use the blade. Hopefully I can pull it down, but he's already so cold that probably won't happen. And I'll go down, I'll cut off behind the ears where the cartilage meets, so that way the ears stay intact. And I'll cut all the way down and make sure everything, including the nose and the lips, stay on as best I can. You want everything you can to stay intact. So we'll see how this turns out. Never done a bobcat by myself. I mainly do coons and possums because I don't have enough time to trap bobcats for the most part. I do set out a couple traps, but not very many. So we'll see how this goes, and I'll show you all the turnout here in a minute. Alright y'all, just want to give you a quick little update. I've got the legs skinned out here, and I've got it hooked up to my truck with a rope tying onto the legs. Now hopefully, if he ain't too cold, I should be able to, there we go, yeah. Should be able to just kind of slowly pull that hide down. I'm going to be careful, you don't want to rip the hide. I do have a pretty tough hide, but you never know what's going to happen. Bobcat's about the best you're going to get when it comes to hides these days. So you want to do everything you can not to ruin one. Got a little bit of flesh there still stuck to the tail. I hope y'all can see this because I can't see what you're seeing. Hopefully, yeah. Pull a little bit at a time. Out of the way. Well, that's a wonderful smell. Smells like a big old tomcat. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is move my rope up. Tighten it up so come along pretty nicely though. Another thing you notice, wearing gloves. It's always a good idea when you're skinning something like this, or really it's nice when you're skinning anything, including like a deer, just due to the fact that keep your hands cleaner. But if you're skinning something like a coon or possum, you never know what that thing might have. It's just always best to be as cautious as possible. A lot of trappers will tell you that's a possibility you will get sick if you cut yourself bad enough from a coon or something like that that might have had rabies, and You just never know what diseases they might have. Bobcats tend to be fairly clean. I'd rather just not risk it. Just kind of slowly pull everywhere around. Pretty evenly. If you got to knife any of it, be really careful. Yeah, you want a really sharp knife, but this one, I like it. But a lot of people prefer a curved blade, something with a very rounded blade. I might be switching to something like that this year just to keep me from cutting through any hides. I'm guessing the dogs are starting to smell that there's a cat around. They must have been asleep earlier. There we go. Always up by the rib cage. There's not quite as much meat. There's not quite as much skin. They get this muscle right here. It makes it where it's more full, even when they're warm. I will say the quicker you skin them, the better. I'm getting pretty lucky with this one. It's been fairly cooperative so far. Notice I said so far. That could change. If this cat hadn't have been so old when I got him, I'd probably give some of the meat to the dogs, but I'll probably cut a little bit off for bait for my coyote sets. But other than that, I'm not going to do anything with it. Some people like to say that need it. I've never really ate one, but I haven't had too much opportunity neither. I do like to eat my coons though. Coons are a little different. Tastes a little bit of a mixture of beef and deer. Another good one to eat's beaver. But it's always good to utilize as much as you can from these animals. We want to pay them in that respects as well as we can. I'm just really happy to see this hide ain't blue. Which means fur is starting to get prime. Whenever you have this hide like this, instead of the meat being like this, or the skin right here, how the flesh is white, it will turn blue before the fur is prime, and the fur buyer won't buy it because the tan won't stick to it. And I try not to start trapping. I'm actually not even started trapping yet. I'm still deer hunting quite a bit, and duck hunting some. So I haven't even started trapping yet. But when you get something like a bobcat, especially, that's going to be really kind of free. You're not having to put any gas into it, any traps into it, any labor other than your skinning. It's hard to pass something like that down or pass it on. It'd be really nice to have a wind truck right now. Slowly go down with it. Yeah, the dogs have noticed the fact that there's a tomcat up here somewhere. That and the fact that I'm home. Have a lot of meat on them. They're very, very strong, so that's kind of what takes a little bit extra time right here. Getting around their legs, because you got to pull them through. You don't split the front legs like you do the rear. Takes a little bit of time to get through all that meat and muscle and everything. There we go. I can see where he was hit now. Doesn't look like the hide's been screwed up though. That's still good. You can see it looks like it dislocated his shoulder when he got hit. Probably hit him in the head, shoulder. Blew that shoulder out a little bit. Spiked him around. Good news is it would have killed him immediately with it hitting him in the head like that. So, it's not like he suffered or anything, so that's good. I may be a trapper, but I'm not for animal cruelty. The traps I use and the ones that are legal here in Arkansas won't hurt the animals. They're strictly to restrict them, and that's it. You can ask any trapper that's been trapping long enough, usually by the end of his first year, how it feels to get stuck in one of these leg holes. They don't feel nothing. When you're having a bad day of trapping, it means you're not catching fur, but you're catching yourself. We've all done it. Those of us, or those of you who haven't, will eventually. It's just a matter of times when something like that'll happen. It doesn't hurt. It's not a big deal at all. There are traps that will hurt you, but they're made to kill on contact, so the animal still will not suffer. There's one leg broken through. Poking through at least. Got some. Doesn't always work, but especially when it's cold ones. But when they're warmer, it's real easy. You just poke your thumb through that bend in their elbow. Then you start pulling the elbows out. You don't really want to cut through too much in between that elbow, because a lot of times you won't quite have that tied down as far as you think you do, and then you'll end up cutting that leg. On some things it doesn't matter too much, like a tube. You don't have to go down as far, but these bobcats, fox, coyotes, anything like that, they tend to like them to have a nice long leg on them, really see the size of it. Yeah, these gloves don't stay on very long. Those latex and powder-free stuff like that seems to work quite a bit better for something like this. And to be honest, when it's real cold, they'll generally keep your hands kind of warm. So here's it. Doesn't help. My knife's getting kind of dull. You don't have to flush them once they're done anyway, or your fur buyer if you're selling them green. I just don't have the room to work one over, so I sell all mine green. Because it takes quite a bit of room from your flushing beams and your tools and area to hang your hides after you put them on a stretcher. So I sell mine green, so I don't worry about it too much. But they're gonna have to flush it anyway. So if you're not sure where something is, It's cut into the meat. That's not a big deal. It'll come right off just with the fat, just like the fat will. That pause right here, I just want to get it a little bit further down. Before I cut the hide off. Well, I'm over the paw now. I can start seeing the ligaments over for them toes. So, I'll go ahead and cut it off. What you want to do is you want to cut as high up here on this fold as you can. You cut through here. That way you get as much length as you can on that hide. And voila, there's that paw, and that side is done. Flip them over. Do the same thing on the other side. And you kind of slow down here, but try and be in a little bit of a hurry without screwing up too bad. See that pretty much over that joint, just about to where I was on the other side. You come back in there half inch or so. How important that is to be lined up, I honestly don't know, but that's just kind of how I am. I'm going to cut it right here. That's pretty much level where I was. On the other side. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do, I'll go ahead and show you. Well, I'll wait for a second. What I'm going to do here in a minute, or here now, scoot it up in the bed of the truck a little bit further, so that way the head is still on the tailgate, in case I need a little bit extra help with it, or need to set it down or anything. The hide won't be going down into on the ground or anything. A little bit high up, but it'll be back here soon enough. Once you get down to the head like this, it's pretty well all using your knife. I would sharpen my knife a little bit, but I'm afraid if I do that, I'll cut through the hide. And I don't want to do that, especially not after all this work. head being kind of disformed and getting hit, it's going to make it a little bit of a challenge, but hopefully it won't be too bad. On Skinnin. On one of our episodes where I do a little bit of trapping, I'll show y'all how harmless those traps are. I've had plenty of them pull out. A lot of times whenever an animal gets in a trap, he kind of just, it's more of a shock factor that they're in a trap. A lot of times they'll just lay down. About 9 times out of 10 they'll just kind of lay down and be like, oh well, I guess that just happened. Because there's not really much they think they can do. But the other times, which seems to be more the case for me, they'll want to fight and get out of the trap, and they will. It doesn't take much to. That's how I get myself out of the trap when I've been caught. Alright, now what I'm doing, I'm going to look for the ears. I believe they're right here. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yep, right there. I'll go across to the other side. What I'm doing is I'm just cutting through the bottom cartilage of the ear. You can see that right there's the ear canal. It's cutting straight through it. So that way the ear will stay on the hide, or the ears will stay on the hide. Slow down a little bit here, getting around the lips. Right now, to the eye on one side of his head. Just going to try to keep the eye as normal sized as possible. Cut right around where the eyelashes are. There we go. Flip them over. Start working on the other side. Get it caught up to where we are. There. That where the eye is. There we go, there's the eye. What you want to do when you get the eyes, pull away from the skull a little bit. And just put your knife straight against it, cut straight down, straight through it. If at all possible. This one's trying to be a little difficult. They get hit by a car. Cut the lips off. A lot of people say you don't need the lips, and you may not, but if at all possible, I like to keep everything as original as possible. When somebody wants that fur, they're going to want that animal to look just like it did. And I'm going to try and give it to them like that. same thing as with the eyes. When you get to the bottom of the mouth, just cut straight into it. And now is when you're going to really dull your blade out, because you're going to be pretty well right on the bone. At least as best as you can, you want to be on that bone. So that way, you're getting absolutely everything, if at all possible. When you get to the nose, this kind of stuff sawing around where the nose cartilage should be. And there you go. Have a skinned bobcat. See if I can get it turned inside out, or right side out for you. Pull the legs out of there. There you go. You now skin the bobcat. It's a real pretty cat. He's got a lot of spots on his belly. That's kind of what fur buyers look for. The more and the darker the spots, usually the older the cat, more mature it is. He's got a real pretty tail. Real pretty ears on it. So now I'll show you the mechanism I have rigged up in here. Let me get rid of my gloves. Alright. Let y'all see what I've been looking at. This right here. I just use the tie-down straps on the bed of my truck. Run a rope with a hangman's noose on the back end of it. That hangman's noose, it's just right here on the back of them feet. That way I can adjust right here, pull, loosen it up. Let's see what all I need to do. And then that there, your finished product. Move that out of the way. There you go. It may not look like much now, but we can get them sent off to the tannery and it'll look real good in a couple months when we get them back. Alright, one more thing to remember. So I'll show y'all how to do this. It's best if you can vacuum seal them. I don't have a vacuum sealer. But whenever you go to freeze anything that's been skinned, and I mean this goes for everything, fold the tail in on itself and have flesh on flesh. Don't let that flesh touch any of the hair if at all possible, because that flesh will do nothing but rot that hair. Roll that up and then roll it up like a sleeping bag or a blanket. And there you go. And that is how you skin a bobcat. I'm gonna go get a gallon freezer bag and stick him in there and try and get as much air out as I can, and we'll be good to go. Stick him in the freezer.